All right. So today I have a super awesome subject that we're going to talk about. When I first got into looking at energy work, this is something that I was like, wait, I'm really confused. And so I want to share with you, especially if you've decided to hop into the human design course, exactly what is going on with why you're seeing that there is a progressive shift towards the thought of there being more than just the seven chakras that we have been taught about. So the chakra concept, it goes way, way back to, like the 1000 BC timeframe, is when we first discovered that it was being taught. And basically, chakra is spinning discs. And so I'm not going to go into lots of details on how chakras work in this video. This is mostly going to be just telling you, like, why are we seeing, or why are we at this spot where we have this beautiful momentum shift? Okay. So just in thought process of, we have these chakra systems, really important to how our energy flows through our body. They become, or potentially become, imbalanced. And so we work on them a lot when we do energy work of all kinds. And so as we have evolved as humans, our energy system, it would make sense that our energy system has evolved as well, right? If we look back to the type of physical beings that we were back around the time of 1000 BC, we're going to see that we have evolved physically, without a doubt. And so it makes complete sense that our our energy centers would have the potential to evolve as well. So in 1781 is what happens, is there is the discovery of the planet Uranus. And that discovery, and when we do things like this, we are really in tune to understanding that things don't just happen, right? Things don't just boom, magically happen. I mean, they do, but they do for a purpose. And so at the time of the discovery of the planet Uranus, we also have a shift, a complex internal reorganization of our energy system. So it's not so much of boom, there was just magically 9 now energy centers. This was a shift of a complex internal reorganization of the energy system. And so think of it as a transformation that occurred at the same time as when we discovered this planet, right? Because that's how things happen. Nothing happens out of just chaos. It's in alignment with the shift of global energy, with the shift of where humanity is, all that stuff. It all plays in this beautiful, beautiful things are meant to happen, right? Type of thing. So previous to this, our 7 centered or 7 chakra bodies were aligned with what we call Saturnian, whatever you want to say that. I love messing up, words, because that's my favoriteest thing to do. How in the world can I be medically intuitive? I cannot say anything that is associated with medical terms. But anyways, so basically that is alignment with Saturn. Saturn has a 29-year return cycle. And so if we look back at the history of human beings and development, what is one thing we see without a doubt? It is absolutely the lifespan of humans has shifted, right? Has shifted. Now, it's not just for one particular reason, but part of it is because we are no longer aligned with this 29-year Saturn return. Okay. So now, as Uranus is discovered This energy shift within our system is also developed and is now following the 84-year Uranus cycle. Okay. So we can see that. We can see that as human beings, we have shifted into a different energy space where we now what? We live way longer. So this basic process of how humans mature over time is now shifted as well. Okay, so that's that beautiful shift. Now, here's some other cool things that happen. If you're in the human design course, you're going to learn about a new personality type that is also born out of this shift. So we now see these people who are called projectors. And when invited is the keyword there. When invited, these people have this beautiful ability to guide others in understanding how energy works and how to use their own energy to balance themselves and to become these, the overall key here is that we love ourselves. We love ourselves at the true, authentic level of who we are. And that is ultimately should always be your goal. And we're just so pulled away from that, from what we've been taught in life. And so that's part of what this shift is. So listening to our authentic self over listening to the voice of others. So previous to this, where we were as far as our evolution went spiritually, you can see that previously the source of truth is what? The source of truth is monarchs and dictators, politicians, clergy, all of those. That's where we get our source of truth from leaders. And so then you see the shift happen where people start to want personal freedoms. So we see revolutions and rebellions to overthrow this power source. And I mean, we can see it over this course of time. If you go back to the 1781 and then look over the timeline, you can see this happening. And I would definitely say now more than ever, right? We're seeing this shift where we're like, wait a minute, these people that we're listening to or that we're taught are supposed to be the all-powering source of what we should be doing, right? We're like, wait a minute, this isn't aligning with how I feel, what my inner truth is telling me. So that's all part of this beautiful shift into these now our 9-centered energy sources. Now, another thing that happens or happened during this progression, and it's still happening, is our solar plexus chakra. Our emotional system is developing and changing. And some of us are embracing it beautifully and aligning and growing. And then we also see that there are people that are becoming even more centered in their physical body and materialistic and not understanding or grasping that we're moving. So you're seeing this divide happen. And as the solar plexus chakra, our emotional system is developing and changing, it's allowing us to communicate on a deeper level. And that's why you see people being like, wait, I can feel the energy of other people. And it's, if you haven't been taught how to harness that or how to develop it or how to understand it, what happens, it becomes really overwhelming. And that's why we have so many people that are like, oh, just label me with something because you don't understand your authentic self and you've been taught to deny it. And so then, we start labeling ourselves with having all these issues because we really just don't understand that this is actually part of embracing this energy shift. And yes, we are deeper feeling, we are resonating with an energy that allows us to communicate with pure awareness. And that's what this whole shift is. It's us being able in the future to communicate literally from our energy centers with each other, not so much as using our voices. So this center is developing into a place of what we call pure awareness. So the past 400 years, if we look at this, it's called the cross of planning. And this cosmic influence that's shifting right now has allowed for these beautiful scientific and technological advances. So this cross of planning that happens in the past 400 years has allowed us to have these amazing medical advances, amazing advances in technology. All of this awesome stuff has happened for us. But the problem is, it's also taught us to disconnect from our inner selves. So we look back through history before then, and you see lots of stuff going on. Like you see, if you go clear back, you'll see like, right, most people are familiar with like Egyptians and just our ancient cultures that are really into using astrology and understanding their inner energy centers. And so it's like as though we had it and we were developing it, and then we go into this big cosmic influence that allows for the shift into science, and we lose it. And I mean, not only do we lose it, but for goodness sakes, like we're critical of people that are practicing it to the point that we're actually putting them to death. And so as we move into this new shift, which is the cross of the sleeping phoenix, our older 7-centered species is no longer fit for this current global cycle. And you're going to see it shift even more. Okay. And it's shifting into what we call the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And what this brings is more development of personal connection to truth and spirit. And I mean, just give yourself like a nice embracing soul delicious hug, because here you are. If you're kind of sitting there and you're like, oh, what do I need to do? Here you are, you're learning about all of it. And that's what it is. It's teaching your cognitive mind about it so it can connect with your subconscious and you can get in alignment with what is happening. And that's what, my whole purpose and passion here is when you stay on one side of what we typically call Western medicine, you're really physically focused. But if you go too far into the energy plane and you only look at the subconscious, you miss the connection. You have to put them both together. There has to be, you can't just completely ignore the cognitive mind because it's so used to being the driver. And it needs to take a back seat, and you need to bring your subconscious forward. And that's why we teach the things that we do in energy practices. But we sometimes try really hard to bring the subconscious forward by releasing all this stuff that's happened to clear it out. But we don't actually say, hey, also, I need to quiet the cognitive mind. It needs to take a back seat so that my subconscious, I can hear it. We leave that part out. Okay. And that's why I focus so much on this whole concept, is because you got to do both things or you will not get to your real state of harmony. So we're beginning to see it, right? We recognize the limiting systems of our past. People are like, oh, I'm not comfortable fitting into a box. Whereas before, like in 1950s, 60s, like I would say the shift, you can start to see it in the 1960s. I would definitely say early 1900s were very much in the boxes. And then we're shifting into this 1930s, right? We develop school systems. Everybody's doing the same rigorous thing every day. And there is no encouragement for you to be anything other than, we see the cultural norms of men are working outside the home. Women are inside the houses. They're the mothers. They're supposed to be cooking. Like there's this expectation going on, right? And so now we're recognizing that, whoa, we fit everybody into these boxes, and education, political, even religious systems. These limiting factors really, really inhibit our true ability to connect with our authentic selves. And with this beautiful shift that we're doing now, we're recognizing that. And it's a beautiful thing. Just in some aspects, people don't really understand what's going on. So this is the actual reason that it's happening, is because there really is a global shift from the influence of the planets and the influence of everything that's going on out in our galaxy that is creating what we're seeing here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let go of our conscious mind. We're going to embrace our inner voice. We're going to listen to that delicious truth that we have. And we're going to let go of what our past cognitive mind has developed us into this highly materialistic world, which has created a disconnection from ourselves. All right, so that's what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to let you marinate with that soul deliciousness, but I want you to know that is what you really want to focus on, which is why you're here. And I know that, and that's what I'm giving to you is we are understanding ourselves. So we release the resistance for who we really are. And when we release the resistance for who we really are, we stop trying to fit into that box. We feel better spiritually. We feel better emotionally. We feel better at the core of our being. And then the rest of you responds accordingly. You won't have issues physically. You won't be sick. You won't be suspected to having, lots of pathogens entering your body. So we start at the center, and in return, that center blossoms out and affects us on a physical level. All right, guys, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I'm always here for you if you need me. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. And I'm sending you lots of delicious soul love.